Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3885. Today's date is today's date is 14th of February 2026. It's been almost like afternoon at 3 p.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. All right, the question is my workplace physically comfortable, creatively inspiring, and reliable for long session? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, first of all, what is at least this question, and why am I asking this question to myself? This is YouTube realization question. What is at least this thing? It's a kind of like a thing is that na ki I asked this question to myself to get more realization regarding about me, about as a content creator. I get more realization regarding about the platform, so social media platform, Instagram, YouTube platform. I know more about my execution process, my creativity, and things like that. Asking this question kind of like give me realization that am I worthy enough to consider myself as a YouTuber or not? Okay, now regarding about the question says that is my workspace physically comfortable? Physically comfortable. Physically means like that externally is comfortable. I have table, I have chair, I have laptop, I have monitor, I have keyboard and mouse too. Yeah, it's comfortable. It's not really that like it's not really comfortable. It's comfortable. I can do it. Okay, yeah. Creatively inspiring. Well, my workplace does not create a kind of like an inspiring thing. Okay, let me give you creating inspiring means what? Like basically some sort of kind of like a working station are very much inspiring. Working station means what? Like I don't know, like basically let's just say a setup. Okay, a YouTuber setup probably. They have kind of like a some multiples of kind of like a some inspiring post and things and that and that and that. Do I have that? No, I don't really have that. Do you want that? Um, I might. Okay. Like I don't know. It's just like that. Na ki, I think that the inspiration is actually come from me. It's not come from externally. Okay. Like I think that na ki, if I wanted to motivate myself, obviously that motivation comes from me, not from externally. Huh, I will kind of like a somebody watch a kind of like some YouTube videos to get motivate or kind of like watch kind of like a poster and things like that. But still, I don't know. Like yeah, probably like aesthetically and inspiring would be really good. Okay, yeah. Like I'm not really against with that thing, but like like it's nothing then okay, it is like I'm not really sure. Having a kind of like a simply inspiring workplace would be really good. I'm not kind of like a say this thing, it's not wrong, it's wrong, no, it's good, it's great, but I don't really have that inspiring workplace. I just have a kind of like a simply just a corner and the table and the chair and the monitor and the laptop and that's it probably. Okay, then reliable long session, like will I be able to kind of like sit in front of my desk and kind of like somebody for I could sit for almost like a 6 hour or 8 hour. Can I able to do sit on in front of that table? Yeah, probably. Like I the yeah, I could sit. It's not that I cannot able to sit. Okay, yeah, it's good, it's comfortable. It's I don't know how to. It's a kind of like a luxury item. If I'm kind of like seeing this thing, like this question kind of like a represent that how comfortable is your working space. I have working space which is okay. It's not that comfortable, but it's good enough. Okay, yeah, probably is this thing. Do I seek a kind of like a comfortable workplace? Yeah, like if I get kind of like a very comfortable workplace, it would be really good. Like what kind of like a something comfortable workplace that you want? Like what exactly your office should supposed to look like? Like what do you want? Okay, yeah, there is a couple of things that I want if I have the office in the future. I want that ki probably my office would be just kind of like something minimalistic. Like I don't want anything at all. I just want a table, a chair, a laptop, a monitor would be, and a small cupboard. A small cupboard means like that, a small things, a kind of like somebody, yeah, that's it. I just want that small thing, that's it. Okay, yeah. And one couch at the corner of the room, probably. Okay. And AC would be really good. Okay, yeah. Because I'm belong to the India, and probably in here are kind of like so much hot in weather. Okay, yeah. Probably having AC is kind of like a bit more comfortable. That's it. Also, I want my room should supposed to be kind of like a little bit of like a bigger. Bigger means what? Like a bigger means like that, a kind of like something that I could walk. Like usually I want to walk a lot. Okay, I want to walk a lot, and when I kind of like do my work, I want my kind of like some space to walk. Okay, yeah, at least like a probably maybe 10 to 15 feet, probably 10 to 15. I'm not really sure how much, but I need a kind of like a couple of space to kind of like walk. Okay, yeah. Also make sure that table should supposed to be kind of like somebody automatically rise up and automatically kind of like these. Like I seen those table, like I press the button and it kind of like somebody automatically rise up, and I would kind of like somebody just kind of like somebody do my work while kind of like standing and things like that. Okay, yeah, that's it. These are the things that I want. Window, yeah, I want window. Yeah, window is really good. Okay, yeah. But these are kind of like a things. Okay, any extra luxury item I don't want. Okay, yeah, just a kind of like just a very basic thing that I needed, and that's it probably. Okay, that would be a bit more comfortable. Like if there is a kind of like a even add comfortable things, and then like basically this thing, you can make your workplace is kind of like as much aesthetic, as much comfortable, as good as much as you want, and there are so many kind of like assembly available are actually exist. Okay, I seen on so many kind of like YouTubers kind of like a make a video about their setup and things like that. I would say, yeah, having my setup would be really good, probably. Okay, but more important thing is that usually my creativity is actually come from me. Okay, it comes from my brain and things like that. So yeah, these are kind of like a minimalistic setup I want. Not too much, not too less. All right. Okay, yeah. So should I ask another question? Okay, let's ask another question. Does my lighting, framing, and background enhance my message without distracting? Oh, that's a really good question. Okay, so basically it's this thing that like usually I see a content creator, the people like let's just say YouTuber, who kind of like make a video about something. Okay, yeah. So there are a couple of things are really essential. Okay, yeah, let's just say talking head video. So in the talking head video, mostly YouTube video are a talking head video. Okay, yeah. So in the talking head video, you have to make sure that couple of things. First of all, is that audience shouldn't supposed to be distracted from you. So background should not be kind of like a cluttered. Should supposed to be kind of like a minimal. Okay, yeah. So that you will kind of like a get higher contrast about you and what is actually background. Okay, yeah, but that gets boring little bit. Okay, yeah, so add little bit of another elements into the background too. Okay, yeah, but make sure those elements are still like a poster or kind of like some objects or things would be still. Okay, yeah, lighting is a really much essential. Make sure that the lighting would be kind of like a something 3 light system. Okay, 3-point light system, like a 3 white, like there is a key light which is actually come from the left side. Okay, yeah, which key light means bigger source of light. Do not get the harsh light, kind of like a matte soft light. Okay, yeah, then another light would be back, so that it kind of like a separate you from the background, and there is another light is actually kind of like a simply background light would be. Okay, yeah, another thing is that make sure that your background color kind of like somebody create a contrast between you and your background. Okay, yeah, so that it look kind of like a little bit of aesthetic and things like that, which kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah, but try not to do too much fancy light. But if you did this thing fancy light, then your message would be very much different. Like basically this thing, the content creator from like a MKBHD content creator, he doesn't really add that much lighting. He kind of like somebody shoot all his kind of like a video in kind of like a very bright light. He use natural sources of light, which is really good. Okay, yeah, and he doesn't like it just like a very nice. Okay, why? Like he has a kind of like a multiple elements in the background, but does not too much. Okay, yeah. In his talking head video, he makes sure that people should supposedly focus on what he was saying, not in a kind of like a looking at the background and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. And so many YouTuber does that thing, but if you do it kind of like a very much fancy, then it's not really good. Okay, yeah, like people will get diverted. Make sure that key in the center of the, make sure you are the kind of like a dominant in your frame. Okay, yeah. If you are not dominant, other elements are kind of like a dominating, like a light and kind of like other elements and things and that, people might gonna distract. People will distract, then people will not gonna look at you. They will gonna look at kind of like a things and the background and things like that. You can use it as a creative way too. Like basically you intentionally want to people look at the background, then probably you will design your background in such a way that people should probably look at the background so that it creates something like a message or things like that. It would be really good. Okay, yeah. But lighting is a very much essential regarding about how do you supposed to execute the kind of like a simply message and things like that to how to distract people and how to intentionally distract them or things like that, which is kind of like a simply really good. Okay, yeah. There are also another way too. Okay, yeah, which is kind of like even more cinematic. Okay, yeah. And so, okay, and I'm gonna tell you these are the specifically are based on kind of like a simply for the YouTuber base. Okay, yeah, because YouTube kind of like a simply set design in a such a way that it should supposed to be kind of like a represent their message from their, yeah. But what I'm trying to tell you is this thing, some kind of like a YouTuber does very differently. Like they intentionally kind of like a break the rule, and it kind of like add very much value. Okay, yeah. Like I am kind of like a little bit of filmmaker probably. Like I like to understand the films. Okay, yeah. So there are a couple of kind of like assembly the YouTuber they does very well, very creative. Okay, yeah. Peter McKinnon, I love his creating. I love his the way of he execute the video is like really cool. Okay, first of all is that most of the video is a talking head video. Okay, yeah. He create the depth. Okay, yeah. He does not add kind of like a background so close to him. Most of the background are kind of like a very much far away and things like that. That blur kind of like a create that depth. Sorry about the background noises. These are kind of like a very much like a fuck. Okay, yeah. So Peter McKinnon are, these are kind of like somebody disturbing me. Okay, whatever. Just okay, yeah. So basically is this thing what I realized that ki Peter McKinnon, okay, his content creation process is also really good. The way that he set the frame is like a really good. Okay, yeah. He kind of like add multiples of like he has a depth. He add the depth. Okay, yeah, to the background and things like that. Also, he kind of like create the contrast between the subject and kind of like a background, which is also really good. His lighting is also really on the point, which is also really make sure that because he is a kind of like a filmmaker. Now, this is also really good, but when he kind of like blew up, when he kind of like used multiple tricks. Okay, yeah. Multiple tricks of camera tricks, and which is kind of like a really crazy. Okay, so Peter McKinnon also do vlog too, and his vlog, okay, let me give you context. Okay, yeah. So in talking head video you can design everything regarding about how do you look, lighting and background and things like that, but vlog is not. Vlog are meant to be raw, meant to be kind of like something unfiltered and things like that, so you cannot able to be kind of like something design everything, right? Yeah, but you can do tricks. Okay, you can do tricks, and that tricks is a kind of like a really good, like a, it felt like that, oh my god, like it felt like wow. So basically what exactly happened, okay, yeah. So what does he do is that he was holding a camera like a vlogging. Okay, yeah. the way that person who hold the camera, like a kind of like a vlog, he was kind of like holding, and he was kind of like a talking and things like that. Okay, yeah. Now then, what exactly happened? That he was kind of like a walking, and suddenly he just kind of like a somebody like, and he was talking about that ki this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Okay, yeah. And then he just kind of like remove the hand. Okay, remove the hand and grab the coffee. Okay, yeah. And he was also walking. Camera is also walking with him, and it just felt crazy. Like audience feel like that. Okay, what is exactly happened? Like audience kind of like feel like that. Na ki he is kind of like holding the camera all this while. Okay, yeah. But when this trick actually happened, he is kind of like away from the hand, and he's kind of like holding the coffee and things like that. And the camera is kind of like moving in such a way, just like what. It kind of like a bit tricky. Okay, yeah. It kind of like a people get confused and things like that. Oh, what the fuck is this thing? And that is kind of like a very creative illusion with creativity, which is really good. He did it multiple times, like a multiple times, and every time he did it, it just so well that it just like in the it should supposed to be flawless. Okay, there is no jitter happen. If the jitter happened, then people might gonna understand, okay, he kind of like a shifted the camera to someone else and things like that. But this actually happened so smoothly, so it just feel like that. Wow. Okay, yeah. And most of the time, his execution process, he was kind of like a focusing on talk, like a basically the you are audience and you are kind of like a listening on what he was kind of like a saying. And suddenly this thing actually happened, and you just blows. Okay, what the fuck is actually happened? Like this is what kind of like a really crazy thing. Okay, so probably is this thing na ki, like as I mentioned, the creativity as a kind of like a billions way to kind of like execute the creativity. And I think that na ki there are so many people who kind of like somebody utilize this technique very well, like a really good, like a really great. Okay, yeah. Like the lighting and kind of like a things, it would be really good. If you went to if you went to kind of like a somebody the cinematography, like a legit movie scene, then things might be kind of like a went too crazy. Then like basically is this thing, then you have entire kind of like a rig system. You have entire kind of like a somebody the kind of like a cinematography DOP people who are kind of like a somebody think about everything, your lighting, background and everything. Then you can do a lot of creativity over there. Okay, yeah. There is also one kind of like a movie that I wanted to kind of like a suggest you that, which is kind of like done very kind of like a very good. What is that movie? Bad Boys. Okay, yeah. Bad Boys 2 probably. Yeah. Not the entire movie, couple of kind of like a scene would be really good. Like in the Bad Boys 2, the action sequence kind of like a represent by kind of like a something is this thing that key the camera is on the kind of like basically is this thing na ki, let me give you context. Okay, yeah. When you see the car crash from the very long away from, then you might not feel that how much it impact. Okay, why? Because of you are kind of like a very much far away, and this is what actually happened when the kind of like a destruction happened and you are kind of like a seeing it from very far away. Then probably that destruction doesn't feel like that big or kind of like something impactful. It doesn't really feel that impactful. But what if you are in that car? Okay, yeah, you are holding the camera and crash happened, then suddenly everything will gonna look chaos and things like that. So this is what actually happened. The same crash actually happened when you looked at from the far away. It kind of like a feel like less impactful, but when you are in the car, it kind of like a feel like chaos. So this is what actually happened. Like basically you are kind of like a shifted camera to somewhere else, that kind of like an audience should supposed to feel that much impactful and things like that. Bad Boys 2 kind of like a did something very crazy. Okay, yeah. He like I'm not really sure like is it Bad Boys or things like that, but like basically what exactly happened, there is a one specific scene that I wanted to mention, the Will Smith. Okay, so what exactly happened that ki Will Smith is kind of like somebody shooting a kind of like something a random kind of like somebody the enemies and things like that. Now basically what exactly happened, the director who kind of like placed the camera on the gun. So basically what exactly happened, every jittery movement is actually happened through the gun, like basically the way that Will Smith reload that gun, shotgun, and he kind of like hit the fire, that little jittery actually happened. The audience feel ooh. and the entire kind of like a things actually happened from gun point of perspective. Means like that you are kind of like a simply seeing Will Smith as gun point of perspective, like a light, the way that he revolved, the background kind of like a shifted so rapidly, the blur and things, and just hit and then jittery things. It just feels like wow. There are so many ways to execute this thing, like a car chase sequence. Okay, yeah, like in Transformer, probably third or fourth movie, fourth probably. So in the fourth, Michael Bay kind of like assembly install the camera on the car, on the kind of like assembly, like on the kind of like assembly that key wheel should supposed to be seen and the car should supposed to be the way that car move, and like there is the first sequence actually happened na, like basically all those four guys, the Mark Wahlberg and multiple four guys are kind of like running away from that kind of like assembly, the that secret agents and things like that. So the entire car sequence was really good. Like basically they kind of like assembly put the camera in such a position that kind of like assembly the audience feel connected, like a very much impactful, like a very close to the action. Like put the camera, as close as much as it close to the action, so that audience might gonna feel impactful and things like that. And this is what exactly happened, which kind of like feels very very impactful. Okay, yeah. There is also another movie, Hardcore Henry. Okay, I'm gonna suggest you this movie. This movie is like, oh my god. So you are actually seeing the movie from as a first person point of perspective. Literally first person. The camera is you. Literally, camera is you. You are kind of like a scene, and every action, every choreography done it so well. I was like mind blowing, dude. Like action, everything, the chaos and things like that. Like basically, this is the kind of like only the things that I seen the Hardcore Henry movie. Like boy, oh boy, like literally, I just blew my mind the way that they kind of like do the cinematography, like so well, so good. It's just like wow. Okay, these are kind of like some of the movies, but it's not like there are a couple of scenes are kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah. Like a Hardcore Henry, in this kind of like a movie, entire movie is actually shot by the first person point of perspective, which is I think a wrong. Why is this thing that ki first person point of perspective is that ki you will not gonna see the main character. Okay, because you are kind of like a feel like main character and things like that, and you are not seeing the face. Another thing is that na ki first person point of perspective, it felt really good when the action sequence happened, when there is a kind of like somebody the talking head video, or kind of like somebody that ki you are talking to somebody and things like that. So you cannot move, or you cannot like you doesn't really have any kind of like somebody the perspective. Okay, yeah. When someone talking to you, you just kind of like look at the another person. Means like that audience is kind of like look at the another person, and that another person actually talking and you are talking, but like, you cannot see yourself. So basically you just kind of like see other person. It kind of like felt bore. Okay, yeah. So first person point of perspective is also not really good in all segments, like some kind of like a camera movement is look really good in a kind of like a specific kind of movement, in specific kind of like a somebody action scene or things like that, but it's not all the time. Okay, and also is this thing now, if you do it too much, then it kind of like a feels like that ki, it's not really good. Okay, change the camera, change the things and that it's just not really good. Okay, yeah. So make sure that place the camera in such a way that kind of like somebody it should supposed to be engaging and things like that. Okay, yeah. But make sure that you use multiples of kind of like a cinematography, multiples of kind of like a camera techniques to kind of like a bit more impactful, but as much as cinematic too, because in the cinematic point of perspective you have to follow some certain rules. Okay, yeah. 180 rules, or kind of like a somebody that key like a basically this thing that camera placement, how it should supposed to move and things and that, push in, push down. Okay, there are multiples of kind of like a pan and tilt and things like that. You can use it as kind of like as much as creative way, with very really good, with impactful sound and things and that. Like I'm gonna tell you, dude, now if you went to the cinema, if you went to cinematography, it's like this is a legit creativity, dude. Legit creativity, like a as I mentioned, why the cinema is kind of like called as a creative project, because it is a creative project. You can tell a story with so many variation. It's just like a really really good. Like it felt like that. Like let me give you context. Okay, yeah. I could make a movie. Like basically this thing now. I don't know. I haven't really seen the movie. Like I haven't really like I don't know. I want to see such a movie that kind of like a tell one story in different point of perspective. Okay, different point of perspective. Like basically take a kind of like a short film. Okay, yeah. So in the short film, like there is a boy who is kind of like somebody reaching to a girl and kind of like confess her feeling and things and that and that. So in one short film, you kind of like somebody kind of like a tell from boy's point of perspective. Okay, yeah. Then another short film is same story but from girl's point of perspective. Okay, yeah. Different character, different elements, different lighting, different things. You can execute the same story in different ways, and it looks like a really beautiful in each ways, dude. Like basically this thing now. Yesterday I was kind of like watching a movie named Meri Pyari Bindu. Okay, yeah, Bollywood movie. This is a Bollywood movie. The actor is a Ayushmann Khurrana, and the actress is a Parineeti Chopra. Okay, yeah, really great acting, love it. Okay, yeah. So story was really good, really nice. Like it's a kind of like a typical Indian love story. Okay, yeah. And basically this movie kind of like a tell the version of the boy's point of perspective, the Ayushmann Khurrana point of perspective, yeah, Abhinav kind of point of perspective. They never really kind of like a tell a story from girl point of perspective, like why she break up and things and that. So basically this thing, like if they could kind of like make a movie from Bindu's point of perspective, then story might be look kind of like a very differently and things like that. Audience might gonna connect so well. Okay, yeah. And basically in the end of the movie, they kind of like mention that ki this is my version of a story. Like the Abhimanyu say this thing that this is my version of the story. Then Parineeti says, Bindu says, actually Bindu is a character name, says this thing. My version of story might be look very differently, but yeah, that is true, because her version of story is kind of like a bit more differently, because she kind of like went through multiples of boyfriends and things and that, and she also have kind of like a different feelings regarding about her craft and things and her career and lot of stuff. So this is what it is like. Basically this is, as I mentioned, a story can like the creativity is such a way that you could execute in billions of ways, like literally billions of ways. Okay, and that's the beauty of it. It's just like wow, like a cinematography, these are the only kind of like a stuff. But if you went to the story design, dude, as a writer can divert the story in such a way just like it's just beautiful, is in all direction and things like that, right? And also another thing na, it's also kind of like a create own perception too. Like basically, let me give you watch the Harry Potter movie. Okay, yeah. So you seen the Harry Potter movie from Harry Potter point of perspective, right? Like basically, what if kind of like somebody, I make a movie about Voldemort, and you are kind of like seeing the same story from Voldemort point of perspective. Then you might think that now, okay, Voldemort would be also right. Okay, yeah. So it is what it is. Like a movies are kind of like somebody create the perception regarding about what kind of like a right perception and wrong perception and things like that. Like basically, if I could kind of like make a movie about Thanos, okay, yeah, and what he did and things and that. So you might think that Thanos might be a right, like a kind of like eliminating half of the population, entire the universe would be kind of like a really right and things like that. So this is what it is. Okay, it's just kind of like a beautiful in its own way. I don't know, is it beautiful or is it worse? Yeah, I'm not really sure about that, but it's really good. Whatever. So regarding about question, sorry, my question was gone. I don't know why. Like sometimes my phone is kind of like a get hang and just kind of like a close application automatically. Okay, yeah. And when I try to restart the application, it just kind of like a take like millions of years to open up. I don't know why, but every single time. And this is what actually happened. Like this document is kind of like a very heavy, like literally heavy. That's why it's kind of like it takes so much amount of time to load and things like that. I just have to make it lighter, but literally what exactly happened when I select all the elements, all the kind of like I kind of like select Control A. It just kind of like it takes another kind of like a 10 minute to select all those things. It is kind of like so this document is kind of like a so. Yeah, might be there is only one option that I just have to convert into the PDF, then it would be really good. Okay, yeah. Still not loading. It's kind of like somebody stuck at that loading bar and just like, I don't know what is that happen. Whatever. I'm gonna end here. Okay, so this is just my kind of like somebody opinion regarding about YouTube and kind of like things and that. Alright. So this is end and thank you.